You're listening to the Plane Talking UK podcast, the UK-based podcast written by a passenger for anyone. And here are your hosts, Carla Stebbings, Matt Smith and Neville Bounds.
Well, hello and welcome to episode number 254 of the Plane Talking UK podcast. I'm Carl Stebbings, and joining me in the PTUK studios this week, as always, is Matt Smith.
Yeah, hello. Sorry, just as we started there, my earpiece fell out. I'm sorry about that.
Well, at least it wasn't a problem with the green screen this week.
No, well, that makes a change, doesn't it? Absolutely. How are we all? Are we all good?
Yes, it's nice. I know. I was just saying this afternoon that I was over here at PTUK Studios with Matt,
yes,
and we were just putting a few final touches to the studio, weren't we, Matt?
Yeah, we were, absolutely. Yeah, is your microphone the wrong way round or something?
No, it's fine. I can bring it up a little bit further if you want.
Sorry, I thought you were doing a Captain Nick on us there for a moment.
No.
Okay.
The lights here at the front. Don't panic.
Okay, I'll adjust. It'll be fine.
Yes, we put some an extra little piece of lighting up above our heads here, which is quite good.
Yes,
and,
absolutely. Seems to be helping with the.
We have a nice new tablecloth.
We do,
which is quite nice.
Are we the only people in the world that are very excited about the fact that we have a tablecloth?
It's very posh.
I can see from Nev down there. Look, he's not very.
No. But we've been
be less interested.
Now that we've been to Nev Tech Studios,
well,
everything
true.
else
I feel very
just
inferior. Certainly, absolutely.
And on that note, joining us this week from his stately mansion, it's Neville Bounds.
Yes, hello everybody. Well, as you can imagine, we've had terrible snow here in Buckinghamshire. There's been, I think it was 300 schools closed. I didn't even know we had 300 schools in Buckinghamshire. But yes, we had 2.5 centimetres of snow, and the whole county ground to a halt. And all a bit pathetic, I have to say. Really.
Oh, really? See, I thought you were being sarcastic, Nev. I'm not going to lie.
No, we did have some snow.
Oh, right, you did actually have some snow. Okay.
Across the Chilterns, High Wycombe up to Oxford. Yeah. But as usual, we can't drive in snow anymore, even though we could in the 1960s. It worked perfectly okay then, and we never had a day off from school. I don't remember.
No, and of course, weirdly here, we've had, like literally the lightest. We had one
flake,
about 5 flakes on a Thursday evening, I think, into the wee small hours. And other than that, literally nothing here in the east at all. Indeed. So we're still getting around in our various vehicles, no trouble. Yeah.
So not joining us this week because he is on location, and I think, if my memory serves me right, he's been skiing today. So he's
been skiing
in
Germany.
He's having some downtime, I think, after skiing. So Armando is not with us this week,
no,
but he will be back next week, all being well.
He has, however, chosen the military story.
Yes, this week all the military news has been handpicked by Armando.
By someone who actually knows what they're talking about, which is
great. He's even left us little footnotes as well.
Oh, has he?
Each story, yeah.
Oh, I missed that.
Not read the show notes again, Matt. Anyway, a big welcome then to everyone who has joined us on the 2nd of February. It's just gone past 7 p.m. All the usual family members in the chat room, as always. It's good to see everyone in there. I'm just trying to see if we've got any new people in the chat room. Have we got any new people in the chat room?
Sorry, the show started now. I don't get time to look at the chat room.
Look at the chat room. But welcome to everyone.
So many buttons to press.
Honestly, there's so many names in there every time we do a show.
Absolutely. Am I allowed to say who's on the show next week now? Or have I got to wait till
we
later?
do have a special announcement because something very exciting is going to happen in between me and Matt here next week.
It's going to be a human, yes.
So what's going on, Matt?
Nothing.
Oh, okay.
No, we're actually being joined by a special guest in the studio, and he will be flying in specially from the States, to be fair. So he'll be arriving here Friday. Hopefully you're picking him up from the train station, so as long as the trains don't let us down, we will have a guest in the studio, and that will be none other than the lovely chap that is Stephen Ivy. So we're very much looking forward to that next week. That's going to be good fun.
Yes, Stephen Ivy. Everyone who watches and listens to the show will know Stephen Ivy has been a family member for ages now, and a really good friend of the show, and he's going to be joining us here in the PTUK studios. So we're looking forward to that, Stephen. I know he's in the chat room tonight, isn't he?
He is, yes,
as
indeed.
well.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. Looking forward to that.
And then also a possible announcement for the week after, but I'll talk to you guys about that later.
Yeah. So how's your week been, Nev? All good?
Yes, hectic. Lots going on. And tomorrow I'm off to Amsterdam for nearly a week. Actually, I'm off until Friday of next week for our usual annual exhibition thing for the AV industry, and hopefully meeting up with Masha at some point.
Oh,
as well,
lovely.
which I'm
Good.
really looking
Yes.
forward to.
Another member of the family.
Yes, it'll be the usual chilliness in Amsterdam. This is one of the last times we're going to be in Amsterdam for this exhibition. Actually, we're there this year and next year, but the year after we are in Barcelona.
Oh,
Barcelona.
That might be a little bit warmer.
Okay.
But no, I've got very fond memories of Amsterdam and like going there very much. So,
Any
looking
idea
forward
as to the
going
reason for change, or do they just want to sort of ring the changes?
Well, they've outgrown the venue.
Wow.
The Rye, which is the big exhibition venue in the middle of, or just to one side of Amsterdam, is absolutely enormous, but it's actually not big enough for the show. So they're moving it to Barcelona. So,
I mean, in some respects, it's a shame,
but,
isn't it? You'd have thought that, but there we are.
It is.
Actually,
Obviously, Amsterdam is extremely central, and you can get to Schiphol from anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
Barcelona, you can as well with some connecting flights, but we'll see how that goes. But
Well,
really looking forward
indeed.
to the penultimate show in Amsterdam. And I'm taking all my video gear with me. I'm doing some interviews and some bits and pieces over there. So I'm glad I've got the 2 times 32 kilos BA
allowance, yeah, absolutely. So essentially, Nev, what you're doing is you're packing up NevTech Studios and putting it in a suitcase. So that's essentially what's happening.
A good summary.
Yeah, indeed. Actually, go back to the weather chat we were having a moment ago. Tony S just said in the chat room there, it's a bit chilly up north, Nev. Yeah.
Yes, will be.
It is. It's
especially on that northeast coast where Tony is. That's I think it's some Scandinavian weather coming down as well. That's always a bit of a wind chill.
Indeed.
And northeasterly breeze.
And of course, as we alluded to in our pre-show chat that we were having with our wonderful people in the chat room here, of course, Auntie Liz always has the trump card, doesn't she? Because it's very cold in Canada. But where was it? Was it who was we doing the Fahrenheit chat with earlier? Who was that with? Hang on.
That was Thomas.
Was it Thomas Mandrake? Yes, absolutely. Who currently has the ultimate? Yeah.
He says it got down to -8 degrees Fahrenheit in Cincinnati, with a -25 degrees Fahrenheit wind chill, which is -32 degrees Celsius.
That's a fright. So
chilly.
I think he wins this week in regard -32 Celsius. That's a frightening number. That really is. I don't know. I think we managed a -5, wasn't it? I posted a picture on Instagram, didn't I? I managed a -5 in my coach earlier. I think that was Thursday, actually. When I was doing swimming contracts. Yeah, so we failed again, us UK types. Never mind.
Sorry,
Anyway.
on the BA note, as those of you know, we will be travelling off to various air shows this year, one of which being the Dubai Air Show in November. And I'm proud to say that thanks to Nev, we'll be travelling with BA.
Oh yes.
Why thanks to Nev?
And we're going out there. It's in November this year, and we're going out on the Queen of the Skies.
Oh, you're going out on the
744. Yeah, 747-400. Really looking forward to that, and coming back on a 777. So that's really good, and we've got it all booked up. And looking forward to that. I haven't been to Dubai since 2006 for me, so looking forward to returning there. So we'll have 2 full days at the show, lots of interviews, and the usual stuff that we
looking for. I cannot wait to see all the videos that you're going to bring back with you. I think, guys, to be fair. So yes, it's
going to be fun.
Going to need loads of stuff. Yeah, can't wait. It's going to be good. What is it? Is it mainly commercial then? At
It's
this Dubai?
pretty much all commercial. Yeah,
Is it?
There's a little bit of military. A lot of the air show is made up from military display. Different display. What they call them? Circuit kind of things from around across the globe.
Yeah.
There are a few military aircraft on display, static display.
Quite a lot of exec jets
Yes.
and biz jet stuff, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Bulk of the air show is
we
made
like
up of
we like
commercial.
going on those very much.
Yes.
We'd much rather fly out there on one, I dare say. But
I'm actually hoping this year that one thing I didn't nail when I was out there 2 years ago was to meet with the people at Boeing, because they have a big stand there
Right.
at the show, and you have to pre-book
do you?
your appointment with Boeing before you go and see them. So I'm hoping, because we're there for 2 days at the air show, we'll be hopefully get to see those guys at Boeing.
Absolutely. For those of you watching on YouTube, or if you're watching back on YouTube, just to say that obviously our green screen behind us today, the picture was sent to us by Captain Rick Bell. And Carlos, you know more about this aeroplane than I do. What is it that we have behind us today?
Well, it's a beautiful B-17 Flying Fortress. We have one here in the UK, actually, at Duxford, which is this one here, which is the Memphis Belle on this side. But if you go the other side of the aircraft, it's actually the Sally B.
Oh, you see, I missed a trick there. I should have probably had you on one side. But I think
we could have photoshopped in Rick Bell rather than Memphis Bell.
See, this is why you're good at this stuff, Nev. Yeah, missed opportunity there.
You know, when they filmed the film Memphis Belle many years ago,
when they filmed
awesome film, Memphis Belle. I'm sure that most of the listeners have seen the Memphis Belle film, apart from you, Matt, because you tend to miss out on all the iconic films.
Yes, all right.
We'll know, obviously, because there wasn't sort of 400 B-17s in flying in that particular time when the film was done, they had to use, obviously, what they had. So rather than have, one B-17, or perhaps two B-17s with the single name on, they put the different names on each side, so different shots, different views which were taken during the film from one side and then the other side would make it look like there was two different aircraft with two different names.
Well,
so,
there we are. There's useful trivia there, absolutely.
It's a great film, though.
Yeah, and when this picture was being taken, apparently Adam Spink was with him as well, I think. Did I read that right? That was in the chat room earlier, wasn't it? Yeah, sorry, I'm not used to having time to read the chat room. It's been really nice.
The rather worrying thing is, apparently, according to Myla, that standby in Copenhagen, Tony, a seagull tried to eat her dinner.
What? That's outrageous.
God. The Copenhagen seagulls.
Right.
Terrible.
Yes. Actually, you say that completely non-aviation related, other than the fact we're talking about seagulls. I made the mistake of walking through Yarmouth with a tray of chips earlier in the week. That was a frightening experience. I've never been under attack so much in my life. It was horrendous.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Okay.
And on that note,
should we do some aviation?
Yeah, let's do some aviation.
Yeah.
So we are going to start the show then, as we do each week, with our rundown of the weekly news from around the world and the UK. So if you're ready, Matt,
I certainly am.
And if you're ready, Nev,
fully ready, Captain.
Let's go. So, kicking off this week's first news story is on the independent.co.uk. And it's an airline we've been talking about for a few weeks now, because they've been having a spot of bother, and then Virgin obviously helped them out. But Flybe, the headline goes, passengers angry as airline takes a new zero tolerance stance on hand baggage rules. So Flybe has angered passengers by taking a new zero tolerance approach to its hand luggage policy, charging travellers who fall foul of these rules £54 per flight. Whatever that accounts to in US dollars, I don't quite know. The beleaguered airline, which is in talks with a consortium of airlines led by Virgin, has had its current baggage policy in place since 2016. But starting from the 17th of January this year, Flybe told The Independent that it was taking steps to ensure that all baggage is now fully compliant using a zero tolerance policy. Its allowance compares favourably with other budget airlines. Passengers are permitted 2 cabin bags, measuring up to 55 by 35 by 20 centimetres, and the other smaller bag that can fit under the seat in front of the combined weight of items not exceeding 10 kilos. For comparison, EasyJet allows passengers just one bag, although it's a bigger at 56 by 45 by 25. Ryanair and Wizz Air only let passengers take one bag, the size of a small rucksack, on board for free. However, passengers may have been caught out by the fact that other airlines' cabin bag measurements are more generous. Ryanair's being 55 by 40 by 20 for the priority passengers, meaning that bags have been admissible with rival carriers. And passengers have complained since the change in stance, which has caught many off guard. Vicky Calcutt, who flew from Birmingham to Belfast on Tuesday, the 29th of January, told The Independent that staff went through the queue tagging larger bags, and those who had been tagged had to queue up to try and fit them into the bag sizer. I think it's size of things, one of those things with them metal frames,
like you see it,
what you see at the airports.
All airports, yeah.
And she claims that more than 20 passengers on that flight that day were made to pay an oversized baggage fee of £54. Meanwhile, student Luke Baker was travelling from Newcastle to Exeter on Sunday the 27th of January with his girlfriend when he was forced also to pay the fee. He said that we'd planned in advance to use the same bags as hand luggage that we always use, he said, and they had no other option but to cough up £54 each. Blimey. As students, they struggle with money, so this was very stressful for us, he said, but we had little choice. On the story, there is actually a picture on here, and it shows the actual little the device which you put your bag into, which is pretty standard. I think through all airlines have these at the check-in desk to put your bag in. I've never been asked to use one of these personally when I've been travelling through the airports here in the UK.
I have been with Ryanair.
And your bag fitted?
Yes, of
course.
Yeah, no, it did. It did.
Yeah.
But then we've got. Sorry, I'm trying to find the picture you were talking about, Carlos, but I'm not having any joy.
Have you ever been stopped and asked to put your hand luggage bag into one of these
one
devices?
Of these, yeah, I see you.
Well, no, I normally leave that to my butler. So I don't get involved with that kind of thing. No, I haven't actually. But also, could I just point out that on the Flybe service, they operate a turboprop called the Dash 8, the Q400, and that is seriously limited in terms of baggage. So imagine if you just come in from the US or something like that with lots of bags, and then you're taking a connecting flight to Edinburgh, for example, on the Dash 8 with your hand luggage, you're going to be seriously disappointed if you're not careful, because there is not a lot of room on those aircraft for that kind of thing.
I mean,
I can't help noticing that Samsonite case in that picture, Matt, looked as if it was struggling to get in there.
Yes, I don't think that was good. Yes, that is going to fit, is it? I mean, the only, I guess there will be people reading this story saying that the only reason they're doing this is because they're in financial troubles and stuff. But at the end of the day, if your bag doesn't fit in the holder, then it doesn't fit in the holder. Therefore, you should be charged the overhead if you haven't been bothered to do your research. I mean, unless they've, done a Ryanair and essentially moved the goalpost just after everyone.
There has been a bit of that, hasn't there? I think there's been a bit of, I don't know whether Flybe have done this themselves, but certainly there's regular changes of rules and regulations. And honestly, if you only fly once every 2 years or something like that, you're never going to keep up with it all.
No.
So I think they've got to try and find some sort of middle ground somewhere. But obviously with the smaller aircraft, hand luggage is a problem, isn't it?
Do you not love the passengers though who are in the check-in queue and you see them with the cases that will fit in here, but because they've packed 4,500 years worth of clothes?
Yeah, because they're going for a month.
The bag is kind of bulging, and it won't. And they're sort of shoehorning it in. And
also the other thing that gets me is the amount of times, and I don't do a lot of flying, we know that, but the amount of times that even with my limited knowledge / experience, the amount of people who don't get out the clear plastic bags and stuff in readiness to go through security and stuff, is it just me that finds that really, really infuriating?
Well, it is when you see all the signs up. There's countless signs, and even little islands with tables and stuff where you can put your
I mean, you can imagine. Look at the last time I flew. Obviously, I flew with Owen. You can imagine. I mean, it was like it was that look of if you hold me up at security, I will never speak to you again. It was just like, I suppose if you're going through security a lot, and I dare say, Nev, you'd be the same. You'd be horribly embarrassed if I was to hold you up going through security because I haven't done my checks properly.
I'd just say I'm sorry. He's not with me.
He's not with me. Fair enough. Which is, funnily enough, is the same approach Owen had.
So moving on to the next story, Matt, which, as always, for you is a fantastic Ryanair story.
Yeah, and we were talking about this, I think, during the week, weren't we? Between ourselves here, it's a slightly odd story, I think. Anyway, Flight Global is the website, and the headline is: Irish carrier Ryanair has taken full control of Austrian subsidiary Laudamotion and outline plans to increase its unit's fleet to 30 Airbus aircraft for summer 2020. Ryanair in March 2018 agreed a plan to take a 75% stake in the Austrian carrier shortly after Niki Lauda-controlled company had successfully bid for the assets of collapsed Air Berlin unit. Is it Niki?
Niki, yeah.
Niki? The Irish carrier has today revealed that it completed the purchase of 100% of Laudamotion from NL Holdings in late December. Laudamotion will carry around 4 million passengers across its first year of operations, the 12 months ending 31st of March 2019, and Ryanair has today outlined plans to almost double this over the next 2 years. The carrier operated a fleet of 19 aircraft during the summer of 2018 and will increase this to 25 for the coming summer. The airline has also signed letters of intent with lessors to increase its fleet to 30 aircraft for the summer of 2020. In contrast to all Boeing operator Ryanair, Laudamotion operates a fleet of Airbus narrowbodies and says all 30 aircraft will be Airbus models. Now, this is the bit of the story that really confused me, because it seems very odd that a company whose basically all their experience is with the Boeing 737, isn't it? Their 737-800, I think, is almost exclusive their entire fleet, apart from a couple of private jets. Seems very odd that you'd sort of almost expect them to go back down the Boeing route with any new purchases.
I think what the case is that Laudamotion obviously has an all Airbus fleet, and Ryanair have obviously they've brought the majority. They're 100% owned by Ryanair now. The name will still stay. It will still be known as Laudamotion. It will still be a separate entity to Ryanair, but I'm sure there'll probably be some kind of intermingling with flights and stuff between the two airlines. But also, I just noted on the website that obviously they've got A320s at the moment, 7 of those, and they've also got some A321s as well, Nev, which you've just been on. But they're going to be phasing out the A321s, Laudamotion, and replacing them with A320s. So they're going to downsize slightly from the 321s to the A320s. So it will be predominantly a A320 fleet.
So they're aiming for sort of like the smaller end of the market, are they? Is that essentially?
Well, the 320 is roughly about the same size as the 737-800, I think, Nev, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, passenger-wise, so it's kind of the same aircraft. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they kind of merge together.
It also says in the article actually here that Laudamotion operates from 4 bases and will double the number of aircraft based at Vienna to 8 this summer, making the Austrian airport its largest base. The airline will deploy 7 and 3 aircraft respectively this summer at the German airports of Düsseldorf and Stuttgart, and 2 at Spanish resort Palma. I mean,
they've got quite a big. They've got 26 destinations. Laudamotion that they go to. Oh, sorry, 38. 38 destinations across Europe, which they have, and a lot of those are just looking actually on their destinations list. A lot of those destinations that Laudamotion fly to are already covered by Ryanair.
Right.
So, but
which seems a bit odd. That's the only thing I could understand it if it was flying into routes or locations perhaps where Ryanair don't fly. But then maybe that's something that will be adjusted in their sort of plan in the coming years, perhaps. Because obviously at the moment they've only just taken it over, haven't they? So
100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
That'll be a dent in his pocket, wouldn't it, Mr. O'Leary?
Right. Yes.
So moving on to the next story, Nev, which is a very, very prestigious BA story for you.
It is. And when BA are making a video or they're doing an advertising campaign, they tend not to do it by halves. And this is another classic example of a very nice job that they've done. And perhaps Matt might want to run the video here. It's on campaignlive.co.uk. And it says that British Airways is marking its 100th anniversary with its first brand campaign in 6 years. The ad, which has been created by Ogilvy UK, is a love letter to Britain, with stars including Olivia Colman and Anthony Joshua travelling alongside people from all walks of life. According to the brand, its passengers represent modern Britain and its values, such as creativity and open-mindedness. The idea of British identity may prove controversial as Brexit looms. Oh, why did I have to spoil it by talking about that? Oh. But the film is a loving portrait of all the characteristics that make this country a special place. It was created by Andy Forrest and Nicola Wood and directed by Tom Tagholm through Park Pictures. And there's a whole list of credits underneath that, which I'm not going to read. But as usual, they've done a very nice job.
Okay, well, why don't we sit back for a moment then? Shall we enjoy it? That's probably the best thing.
One thing to point out in this video is the guy actually hand painting the 100.
Oh, really?
On the aircraft.
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
But we'll show you that.
So
video.
let's give it a whirl, shall we? Oh no! All right, just talk amongst yourselves for a minute. That would have been a lot better if I'd remembered to turn on the audio, wouldn't it?
Oh yes.
There we are. Never mind. Let's try that again.
Dear Britain.
Dearest Britain,
Dear old Britain.
we love you.
We love you.
With all your different views on the world,
And your different stories to tell.
Maybe it's your big heart.
just here's good.
Like BA 100.
Your sense of style.
Your sense of adventure.
Welcome to BA 100. Make your way round to the right for us.
The way you pick yourself up when things get tough.
And dust yourself off. Sorry.
BA 100, you're clear for takeoff.
How you follow your own paths.
How you tell it like it is.
Politely, of course.
You've led revolutions.
Of all kinds.
Yet you watch out about it.
It's just not in your nature.
Instead, you'll quietly make history.
Pots.
Building. Yorkshire pudding. Beds. Discoveries.
UK garage.
Cake. Rabbit.
Ideas.
Honey.
And rather a lot of tea. We love you, Britain. You make us who we are.
Oh, wasn't that nice?
I know.
Nev's all overcome with emotion. Look, it's all.
Filling up there, guys.
Oh, that's
Filling
beautiful,
up.
wasn't it?
Oh.
Oh, actually, all jokes aside,
Yeah.
that's actually very nice. Do you know what? It's nice. It's nice to sort of enjoy the Britishness for a change. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes I feel like we have to feel a bit embarrassed about being so British. So it's nice, especially in uncertain times. I won't say the word, Nev, so calm down.
No.
But yeah, it's what a nice little nod to the future.
Actually, Tony S, did you see that, Nev, in the chat room? Tony S just mentioned, did anyone... Yeah. You didn't notice that, did you, Matt?
No, what's
a call
that?
sign mistake. Funnily enough, dear, that really sounded like a certain air traffic controller we know and love who was saying that.
Oh,
But
I wonder.
just an idea there.
I doubt it. No.
There we go.
Yeah, actually, Auntie Liz has got an excellent point that she's just made in the chat room. It's like, the biggest supporter, if you like, of BA is a certain Sir Neville of Bounds, and says, why on earth wasn't Nev in the commercial? Which I think is an excellent point.
I was busy that week
Doing
when
his
they were
hair.
shooting it. so
Okay,
I
was it
couldn't
contractual
talk.
issues? Was it? It was negotiations
That's right,
and fees. It just
My agent wasn't prepared.
they
to,
couldn't afford you, Nev. That's what it was, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, Tony's actually put the answer in the chat room, Matt, just for you.
Oh, I see. Oh, right.
BA's call sign
Okay, he's not
is
BA.
hails
is it?
back to the older
Yeah.
days, and it's Speedbird.
Oh, okay.
But the guy on the video said BA.
Did
Rather
he?
than saying Speedbird 100, he said BA 100.
Okay, but please don't take this the wrong way as I say this out loud on an aviation-related show, and we'll probably immediately.
Anyway, moving
regret
swiftly
it.
on.
It's like, are you guys in this room the only, or in this chat room and everything? Are you guys the only people who will know that?
No,
Okay.
everyone knows
No,
that.
I mean, it's very well known that British Airways call sign is Speedbird. So
Yeah.
we'll gloss over it. We'll pretend.
I'm going
Yeah.
to sit here and wait for the abuse to arrive in the chat room towards me now for that. But yeah,
No, it's
Never
nice.
mind.
I'm really am hoping. I know we were talking about it a few weeks back, Nev, but I hope they do bring out the old liveries on a few of the. Obviously, they're bringing the BOAC one, but I hope they bring back some of that great Landor livery.
Oh, we're going to see
possibly
some
is.
Landor action. Yes, definitely. And for me, that's one of the nicest liveries that they ever had.
Yes, I know. It's sitting on my desk beside where I work at home.
Oh, you do work at home?
Well, yeah, occasionally.
Wow, what's wrong with you?
So moving on to the next story.
You're one of those people who works from home.
Yes,
aren't
I
you?
work from home.
What squid?
After
Anyway.
I finished the main job,
Yeah.
So the next story is on the eu.usatoday.com website, and the headline is something that I think we're glad to see. I think all of us here. A drunken WestJet passenger ordered to pay the airline $21,000
Goodness.
in fuel costs. So a British man.
Oh dear.
Whose drunken antics forced a January the 4th WestJet plane.
Let me guess. Was he banned from Jet 2 already?
Well, yeah. They're flying from...
Sorry, Liz. I'd like to apologise.
Yes.
Liz.
On
Sorry,
behalf
Auntie
of
Liz.
Yes. One of our citizens not playing the game.
Oh, dear. They were flying from Calgary to London. They had to turn round, and he's now got to pay the airline a grand sum of $21,260.68 to the airline to account for fuel costs.
It's not enough, frankly.
So the chap in question, David Stephen, who was 44, pleaded guilty to resisting arrest and not adhering to safety instructions. Mr. Young was sentenced to 1 additional day of jail on each count, considering the 7 days he spent in a pretorial custody. Prosecutor Laurie Ebus told USA Today he was also ordered to pay WestJet the $21,260.68 in restitution as part of his sentence. The amount represents the cost to WestJet for the fuel relating to the having to return to Calgary International Airport. It was revealed in court that Young, who was battled alcoholism, drank approximately 6 alcoholic beverages prior to boarding the London-bound WestJet flight, according to The Independent and CBS News. WestJet Airlines, the picture there, as you can see on Matt's got on the screen there, parked at Calgary, and Young repeatedly tried making his way to the bathroom, even when it wasn't safe to move around on the flight right after takeoff, a court document obtained by the USA Today reveals. Initially, the accused begrudgingly returned to his seat, but again got up shortly afterwards and again tried to push his way into the locked lavatories, according to the document. He became aggressive with both flight attendants and other passengers, the court document states, and because the flight attendants and other passengers were left shaken and threatened by the accused's behaviour, being verbally aggressive as well, and swearing and shouting with fish clenched, enough the flight crew chose to divert the flight. To land safely, the captain needed to dump around £20,000 of fuel, per the court document. And Young apologised in a written statement, saying he was sorry for the damage and inconvenience he caused his fellow passengers. WestJet losses in both fuel and passenger payments could reach more than $200,000, though the court judge in the case said WestJet could seek this payment from Young through a civil case. Blimey, I think if someone went after me for £200,000, I'd disappear.
Well,
no, it's. I mean, this is.
I'd like to think you wouldn't be so stupid
no,
that you
I
had
wouldn't,
to pay
no.
that kind of money.
But this
frankly.
is quite a fine, wouldn't you say, Nev, for this particular incident?
Yes, obviously it's never enough, but this is one of the first times that we've seen some, 5-figure sums being meted out, and it's about time too. The cost of diversion and the cost of inconvenience to passengers, airline, aircraft and crew being out of position is massive. And I think it's about time that we saw some proper numbers associated with the knock-on damage that this causes, let alone the actual incident itself, which, by the sounds of things, was pretty serious. And I don't know. I think I'm glad to see there's some. There is a example being made of this gentleman, but we could do with seeing a bit more of it as well. But absolutely appalling. Really, not good enough.
No,
it is. But I mean, it is at least a step in the right direction. Perhaps the only crumb of comfort we can take from that, in the fact that they are beginning to take stuff like this really seriously. and sort of siding on the sides of the air. I mean, the thing that's most awful about this story is, like, you know, the drunk thing is one thing, but the fact that he was making passengers and crew, that's the bit that makes me most angry, making the crew feel threatened and uncomfortable in an environment such as that. You do worry about, you know, somebody's, you know, mental health, frankly, when it comes to behaving like that, when you are so obviously in an environment that is you know, has to be controlled for everybody's safety, doesn't it? There's no two ways about it.
Now, I'm guessing this fine was in Canadian dollars, being it was a WestJet aircraft. So I was just looking at how much that cost.
Well, it depends on where he was being prosecuted.
I would imagine everything it's probably Canadian dollars. I would think being...
Yes, I would imagine, because it's a Canadian airline.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
yes.
Okay.
So just a quick conversion for those of us here in the UK, that's £12,417.
Right. Yeah, not enough.
This, yeah.
Not enough. It should have cost him a small house, frankly.
So moving on to the next story, which, Matt, is another wonderful low-cost carrier based here in the UK.
Okay.
And
right.
they're having a few meal choice changes.
Oh, are they? Oh, blimey. Okay, so we mentioned it briefly at just then at the top of that last story, actually. This is to do with Jet 2. It's veganfoodandliving.com, which is not the most expected location to go for aviation-related content. But anyway, so jet2.com introduces vegan meal to its in-flight menu for the very first time. The UK's third largest airline has updated its onboard menu for 2019 to meet the growing demand from passengers looking for vegan options on board. With more people choosing to remove animal products from their diet, Jet2 has introduced the warming and hearty... some pasta dish, which is now available
Arrabbiata.
Beg your pardon?
Arrabbiata pasta.
Yeah, okay. Pen arrabbiata. Apologies to all Italians everywhere.
Where's genuinely need her?
Yeah, absolutely. Which is now available to buy on board. Jet2.com has also added vegan, vegetarian and gluten-free logos to relevant products to make the menu card easier to navigate for customers. Steve Heapy, who is the CEO of Jet2.com, said Jet2.com and Jet2 holiday customers constantly praise the extensive selection of food and drink on board our flights. Therefore, we are looking at how we best keep up to date with current tastes and trends. In line with our ethos of delivering a VIP customer experience, we are always looking at how we offer a great choice for our customers on board. We have worked closely with our food suppliers to source a meal that is not only a delicious choice for our vegan customers, but also a great meal option for everyone on our flights. We hope our customers will enjoy the latest additions. Something tells me that perhaps when Piers Morgan sees this story, he may go off on one of his infamous
I have
rants.
to say, the picture they show on there of this particular dish, I think it looks really nice.
I'm
not a vegan, but I just say it does look really nice. And I think in today's market of passengers, airlines have to more
transparent.
Yes,
I think, and of course, I recall. I recall a story that somebody was telling me about a flight that they've been on, where this particular individual required a kosher meal, and the kosher meal. Basically, despite having been ordered during the booking process and everything, was not put on the aircraft. And there was literally, perhaps it wasn't kosher, but anyway, whichever one it was, every menu option that was available with this carrier, basically the only thing they could have for the entire flight was a banana, because it was the only thing that ticked a thing. So, whatever your personal views are on people's choice of being vegan or not, at the end of the day, it should be available for them to buy, shouldn't it? I mean, it's. I think it's a step in the right direction.
I'm a bit of a stickler for media accuracy.
I hadn't
sorts of
noticed.
things.
Nev,
Well,
I've got to be
carry on,
honest. Yeah, absolutely.
it's all about Jet 2, isn't it? And
Yes.
Jet 2 operates the 737-800,
They do.
757,
Exactly.
and right at the top of the story, there's a lovely picture of an A350.
50. Yeah.
Right. Okay. There you go. Putting it up now. There we are.
That's the breaking news, Nev. For next week, they're buying new A350s. But
Oh,
anyway,
right,
we
okay.
shouldn't tell everyone.
Right.
Yeah. So moving on to.
I mean, in their defence, it doesn't have Jet 2 written on it.
No, I do hate it when they use file pictures like that.
But
the next story is
I
much
think
better.
what we should do immediately is write to the Vegan Health Times or whoever it was that we got that story from, and show them the error of their ways. Nev, what do you reckon?
But, well, I suppose we could do, but actually it is a food story, I suppose,
Yeah.
rather than aviation one.
Yes,
But,
I guess so.
guys,
But,
come on, let's have the aircraft right,
Yeah.
please.
Well, moving on to another story which has got the correct aircraft picture in it.
Has
Nev, this is a BA one.
Yes, it's on the businesstraveller.com, and of course with the Trent 1000 difficulties, BA have been using the Air Belgium service to Dubai actually recently. I wonder if we'll end up on that, but probably not, because we were booked on a 747. But having said that, between April the 1st and June the 8th, BA will subcontract one of its New York services to Air Belgium. And this move is to allow for continuing precautionary inspections to be carried out on the Rolls-Royce Trent 1000 engines on some of BA's Boeing 787-9 aircraft. The flight in question is one of BA's daily services operating between London Heathrow and New York Newark. Flight details with Air Belgium's A340 are already displayed on BA.com. Outbound service is BA 185, departing Heathrow at 10:50 and arriving into Newark at 13:40. The return service, BA 184, departing Newark at 18:05 and arriving into Heathrow the following morning at 06:15. And BA has posted some information about Air Belgium on its website. The main point to bear in mind is that Air Belgium's A340 is configured 2 class, so there is no first class and no premium economy cabin. Economy class tariffs do, however, have a more economical hand baggage only option. More travellers will get to experience the Air Belgium product now that it's been used on a more popular long-haul route. Until now, BA has been using Air Belgium for flights linking London with Abu Dhabi, Cairo and Dubai. Air Belgium was initially intended to operate its own flights between Brussels and Hong Kong, but the service lasted only a few months, probably because of competition from carriers operating outside of the main Brussels airport. Since then, the airline has been operating services for other carriers such as BA and Air France. More information on the airline's business class product are detailed in one of the previous reports where Air Belgium launched its Hong Kong route.
Now, looking at the
more
fleet
information
size,
about that is
Nev,
on.
only four
Yes.
aircraft in the fleet.
I don't mind seeing them subcontracting the high fly A380
Yes.
would be nice.
That would, wouldn't it?
instead.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
perhaps that's being utilised elsewhere at the moment.
Might well be very busy, mightn't it?
It's also a point to note as
yeah.
well, Nev, that they Air Belgium use the, as Captain Nick would say, the hairdryer powered version of the A340.
Yes, the Dash 300. So it's not exactly a very high performance machine, is it?
No.
I must say, this Trent 1000 issue, though, I'm surprised at how long it's going on for. You would have thought that this would be some kind of major top priority, given the amount of people
I
inconvenienced.
would imagine that Rolls-Royce have a problem that they are producing new engines, but also they've got a backlog of dealing with people's previous issues as well. So they're trying to do 2 lots of things at once there, and I can only imagine the difficulty that it's causing them. But I think this is going to go on for another, well, it looks like another 6 months, doesn't it? At least, according to what they're talking about here.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I mean, I'm just very worried that, the longer this goes on, the risk to Rolls-Royce as an engine producer does make you a little nervous.
I think that when you have a new engine or newish engine, there's always issues because obviously you don't know. I mean, you do obviously it's certification and testing and what have
stuff,
you.
yeah.
But you don't know how it's really going to perform in the real world. And certainly the 747 had some engine issues very early on in its life as well. So although this is, pretty hard going for the company, they will get through this. And obviously they're having to take a bit of a hit on profitability, I would imagine. But having said that, the Trent 1000 is a very good motor by the sounds of things. And once they get over this problem,
okay.
I think they'll be good to go.
Well, let's hope they get to the bottom of it sort of pretty quick. Then really, it's just
So talking about A380s, the next story on the ArabianBusiness.com website. And this story is about one of the largest operators, or the largest operator of the A380. And this is Emirates, and they're signing a code share deal with China's largest airline. Blimey, that is going to be huge. So partnership deal with China Southern Airlines will add 8 new destinations to Emirates' global network. Emirates and China Southern Airlines have signed a memorandum of understanding to progress a comprehensive codeshare agreement, which is set to open up new destinations for passengers travelling between China and the Middle East and Africa. The partnership with the Changzhou-based carrier, I'll probably pronounce that really badly, also allows Emirates passengers to enjoy seamless connectivity on domestic flights within China, adding 8 new destinations to its global network. The Chinese cities covered by the codeshare agreements, which include Fuzhou, blimey, I should have given you this story, Matt.
Oh, thanks.
Chongqing, Kunming, Qingdao, Yemen, Chengdu, Nanjing, and Yang. During the initial phase, nailed it, of the partnership subject, which is necessary for government approvals. With the UAE's visa-free policy for Chinese visitors, passengers can also enjoy stopovers in Dubai, a statement has also said. They said in a statement that they were pleased to establish a partnership with China Southern Airlines, allowing Emirates customers to benefit from increased choices of flexibility and ease of connection to different cities across China's provinces, and by connecting the Changzhou. The addition of the 8 domestic routes in the initial stage expands our reach in China beyond the 3 Chinese hub cities of Beijing, Shanghai and Guangzhou, said Aden Kanzim, Emirates Divisional Senior Vice President of Strategic Planning, Revenue Optimisation and Aero Political Affairs. Blimey, he's got a huge title.
Yes,
imagine his office door.
Yeah, well, I was say, imagine the size of his business card.
I know. Blimey, that'd be a big job for Vistaprint. Anyway. Today's signing is especially monumental for Emirates, as it represents the first codeshare agreement between Emirates and a China-based airline. It's also the largest airline in China by passenger numbers, so they're excited by the prospects of the agreement of which it brings, added Kazim. Strengthening cooperation is the long-term strategy of China Southern, said Han Wenshang, Chief Operating Officer of China Southern Air Holding Company, and Emirates is our first bi-directional partner in the Middle East, and we are very pleased to enter a codeshare partnership with Emirates. It signifies a key step for China Southern in the process of building new international partnerships, he said. And Emirates currently has codeshare agreements in place with 23 partners around the world. So it's safe to say that Emirates have got rather a large grasp now of pretty much everywhere around the world.
Yeah.
So that's fairly good news. I've not actually not flown with China Southern before, but they're flying over here quite a lot actually, Matt.
Oh, do they?
You'll see them on Flight Radar. Yeah, they come over here normally on a Sunday evening.
Oh, right.
Around about 8 o'clock. But good news for them. So moving on to the next story, and this is an A380 story, and a bit worrying, I would say.
Yeah, indeed. So this is involving, again, same airline here. We're talking about Emirates. This is on the CNBC website, and the headline is A380 Future in Doubt as Airbus meets with Emirates. The European plane maker Airbus has dropped a heavy hint that it may end its A380 Super Jumbo program. Airbus confirms it is in discussions with Emirates Airline in relation to its A380 contract, the manufacturer said in a short statement to the stock exchange on Thursday. Commercial discussions with the customers remain confidential, Airbus also added. In January 2018, the Middle Eastern airline through the A380 and a lifeline by agreeing to buy up to 36 more planes. At the time, then sales chief for Airbus, John Leahy, admitted that if no deal was possible, then there would be no choice but to shut down the programme. Fast forward to the beginning of 2019, and Airbus's order backlog for the A380 stands at 87 aircraft, with 53 of those lined up for Emirates alone. Many of that total are only considered tentative orders. Emirates' latest A380 order is also shrouded in doubt due to incomplete negotiations with UK engineer Rolls-Royce over the production of more engines. Airbus and Emirates were not immediately available when contacted by CNBC for comment. In a note released Thursday, Sandy Morris, an aviation equity analyst at Jefferies, said Airbus's statement to the market looked ominous for the world's largest commercial airliner. If a significant portion of the Emirates order is cancelled, we believe the A380 programme must end, he added. Morris noted that Emirates' commitment to the aircraft was largely based on its ability to transport large numbers of passengers through the bottleneck of Dubai International Airport. However, the United Arab Emirates is in the process of building a new huge airport designed to allay that capacity squeeze and expects it to be opening and operational by 2024. Speaking to reporters at an event in London on Friday, the chief executive of British Airways parent IAG, Willie Walsh, said he remained happy with owning the A380, but if Airbus wanted to sell more, they're going to have to be very aggressive on price. Jefferies estimated that ending the loss-making A380 programme at its current stage would save Airbus as much as €300 million. That's $344 million per annum. While that is not deemed a huge benefit, Jefferies noted it would free capacity for Airbus to focus on its more popular A320 and A350 models. Shares of Airbus and Rolls-Royce both rose Friday following the suggestion that the A380 programme would end.
When you think how long this aircraft has been obviously in service, first flew under Singapore Airlines livery back in 2007. We're only in 2019 now. Yeah. It's not an old aircraft at all.
No, it isn't.
And as we've said before in past episodes, a few of these have already been parked up and parted out. For
but a lot of that I think is perhaps to do with environmental concerns. Because it's a thirsty beast. I don't know quite how that works. Like sort of carbon footprint per head. Given how many more people you can get on the A380 over that, but it is pretty clear that basically Airbus's biggest and almost only customer, I think now for the A380 is Emirates, isn't it? Because I don't think, am I right, Nev? I don't think that BA have bought many recently. I know they do have some, don't they? But
no, they have some. I think what's happened here is that the ultra long range stuff can be done by an A350 or a Boeing 787. And the ETOPS procedures that these aircraft use, they've become so reliable for twin engine operations over vast areas of ocean. Then four engine aircraft, whether it's the A340-600 or the A380, it's four engines, so they're using a lot more fuel, obviously. And if fuel was cheap, and I know that they do hedge their fuel, so they might have bought it a year ago, possibly. But it's interesting, isn't it, that the A380 promised so much, but actually very quickly got overtaken by this new generation of very fuel-efficient twin engine aircraft, both from Boeing and from Airbus themselves.
It'll be sad to see if they do stop the program. I don't think it'll happen anytime soon, but we'll just have to wait and see what's going to happen, I think, with the 380. So moving on to the next story, and specially chosen just for you, Mr. Bounds.
Thank you very much, Carlos. I'll take it all back, all the things I've said to you.
Did I just see that there's the mention of the word apple in one of our stories here, Nev? What's going on?
Yes.
I'm probably going to regret this, but
is,
carry on, Nev.
Yeah.
I'm going to be milking this big time, as you can imagine.
Brace
But
yourselves, everyone.
this is on theverge.com, not a website that I frequent, I have to say.
Oh, I have to confess, I'm very familiar with it for tech and sciencey type stuff.
Ah, right. Maybe I should be better educated.
Yeah,
Then,
it's worth a read. Actually, it's a very interesting. I think it's a very interesting website. Actually, I read it quite a lot.
Well, let's have a look. And it says that Apple announced on January the 30th that it's partnering with American Airlines to provide Apple Music subscribers access to the streaming app on flights without having to pay for in-flight Wi-Fi. Ooh. Apple Music customers can access their music on any American Airlines domestic flight that's equipped with Viasat satellite Wi-Fi starting on February the 1st. It's the first time Apple Music has partnered with an airline. Subscribers will be able to stream on any device with which they use Apple Music, including PCs, iPhones, iPad, Android devices. Yes, you heard that correctly, ladies and gentlemen. And Macs. Although it's a convenient perk for Apple Music customers, the bigger picture is that it's a zero rating service that undermines competition and net neutrality principles. Offering free data for specific apps, like Apple Music, is the same controversial strategy that several states like California have banned in the past, and it's no different from carriers offering sponsored data to third-party providers. Onboard Wi-Fi is still a developing technology, and Apple offering zero-rated services gives it an early edge over competitors like Spotify and, is that Tidal or Tidal? That's pronounced.
It's not what I've heard of, I have to be honest.
No, but this has happened again, hasn't it? So we suddenly get into this, facility that's being offered, and then in the same breath we're going, oh, actually, we've got a bit of a problem here because there's a competition and net neutrality thing going on. So that's something for the lawyers to work out, I would suggest.
Yeah, I mean, it's having said that, I am familiar with several providers, mobile phone operators I use as an example. I know, for example, despite me being an Apple customer on EE here in the UK, I do ironically get I don't get any charges for using Spotify with streaming. If you see what I mean, that doesn't go against my data package, if you like, when I'm doing it. So I mean, certainly in the UK here, there are several models for not link ups. I don't know quite what the term is that I'm looking for, but sort of like carriage deals perhaps is a better thing for using a music service. I mean, it's I don't know. I suppose this is instead of perhaps the online offering or the onboard offering, I should say, as part of their IFE, because I know a lot of the IFE systems do have like music channels and things, or radio stations, if you like, built into their system for you to listen to. So
I'm not saying anything.
No, okay. Yeah, but all right.
I have a list of things to say, but I'm not going to say.
But take the Apple out of the equation, and let's use the word Spotify. All right, that's a fairly neutral platform. Yeah. That's one that you and I have both used. If you take the Apple out of it, would you be more likely to? I mean, is that the same issue? Are people only making a fuss because it's Apple with this sort of exclusive carriage deal with American Airlines? Is that why people are getting concerned about it, because it's a monopoly? I mean, if the same deal was done, say, with Spotify instead, would people be saying the same thing? Okay, good. Silence. Yeah. Excellent.
Well, yes. And of course, if you think about it, this is all quite new, isn't it? Because
it is.
This problem just didn't exist before. And now you're into... I mean, do you remember when iTunes first started? And there was all sorts of trouble with the Beatles and various... bands that wouldn't put their stuff on iTunes because they had some contractual arguments with Apple and all sorts of things. And this just tends to go on and on and on when there's a new platform or a new way of listening to something. I mean, I've got to say, straight out of the box, this sounds like a superb idea. but clearly there's some legal stuff to deal with, especially in certain states. So, well, I'll keep a good keen eye on this, because this does sound like the way forward to me. But they've got some paperwork to work out.
Yeah, they've got some details to iron out here, but it's an interesting story, I think. And again, it is. I think this is where a lot of this is all going, isn't it? Where they're moving away, perhaps, from having in-flight entertainment IFE systems installed on board, and just having decent data carriage systems that because everybody's got their tablet with them usually, haven't they? I mean, all you need is a USB port and you can keep the thing chapped up. Why have all that? They're carrying the tablet anyway. Why add the additional weight of an IFE system when everybody's got a way of watching stuff? I'd much rather use my own personal tablet than I would, like an on-board thing. Because I think who did I fly? That was American, wasn't it? And you can actually you could stream all of what they on the 7.6 that I was... No, not the 7.6. What was
7.5.
The one? The 7.5, thank you. Sorry. The 7.5, that's the one that was trying to kill me, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. The 7.5. But that had a Wi-Fi system, and as long as the only thing was you had to have downloaded the app onto your device before you got on the plane, because you couldn't do it when you were in the air. But you could then stream stuff straight off their IFE onto your laptop or tablet without having to use the equipment on board.
Just reading the comments in the chat room, they're all very impressed with the green screen, Matt. You'll be pleased to know.
Yeah,
Nick.
Nick isn't impressed with our cameras though. His lovely sharp green screen behind us, and yes, we're working on the high definition cameras. That's one of our projects for this year.
We can never do enough for that.
I
know. We
know.
Try so hard, but he's chucking stones at us.
I know. But to be fair, if it is Captain Nick at the end of the day, so he can throw as many stones at us as he likes.
Fair point.
We'll take on your comments and speed up the process. How does that sound?
Fantastic. Thank you, Nick. So Flight Global is the source of the next story, flightglobal.com. Awesome site, we all love. And this is a story all about an aircraft that Nev recently flew on, actually. And the headline is American adds latest airline to add the A321neo to the fleet. So American Airlines has taken delivery of its first Airbus A321neo, making it the latest US carrier to add the re-engined narrowbody to its fleet. Airbus handed over the aircraft, MSN 8647, to the Fort Worth, Texas-based carrier in Hamburg this week. The airframer says it's equipped CFM International LEAP 1A engines, and which will make it obviously very, very fuel efficient. And American is the fifth US carrier to take delivery of an A320neo family aircraft. Before that, Alaska Airlines have taken theirs, Frontier, Hawaiian Airlines, and Spirit Airlines as well. So American has firm orders for 100 A321neos, with 17 due in this year. Fleets Analyzer shows that American's latest fleet plan shows these details. The mainline carrier had planned to take 22 A320neos this year, but deferred 5 aircraft in mid-2018, citing a weak revenue environment. American will use the A321neos, which it configured with 196 seats, to replace the aging... Oh, that's a shame. The aging but very fantastically awesome Boeing 757-200s and the MD-80s in its fleet. It plans to remove 10 of the 757s and its last 30 of the MD-80s in 2019. All of American's A321neo orders are for the standard variant. However, it seems seen as a likely candidate to convert some aircraft to the longer range A321LR. Airbus has positioned the LR variant as a replacement for the 757 in some longer markets, including transatlantic markets. The airline will have 24 757-200s left in its fleet at the end of 2019, its fleet plan shows. American will ferry its first A321neo to Pittsburgh for post-delivery modifications and familiarisation before entry into service later this year. And I have to say, it's not going to replace the 757-200 because that is just an iconic aircraft, in my view. Nev, what do you think?
Well, anything with 757 in front of it, I have no interest in whatsoever.
So
Yeah,
Nev,
but
you had good things to say about this aircraft, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. And when did I go? Yes, that was Edinburgh week before last. And that was on the same aircraft in both directions. So they only had one. I think BA only had one of the A321 Neos at the time. They've had a second one delivered this week, I believe. No, lovely aircraft, especially in the cruise. It is so quiet, but a fantastic 777 sound on takeoff, I've got to say, as I mentioned last week. But no, in the cruise, it's absolutely lovely aircraft. Now, I think for medium haul stuff, nice, not a problem with that at all. I'm just wondering about these sorts of aircraft, though, on the longer routes. So the A321 LRs and that sort of stuff. So I've never done a long haul on a single aisle airliner before. So maybe I should do that one of these days, just to see. Well, perhaps one of those 737 Maxes or something like that.
Compare and contrast, as they say. Compare and contrast.
Yes, exactly.
So moving on. I was going to say, moving on to next up, Nev. I think you should take the next story.
I was going to say, do you know what? I was looking at that story and thinking, why have I got this one? It's Nev's favourite airline.
I definitely think, Nev, that you should take this next story because the last story is a bit of a windy one for Matt.
Oh,
yes, it is.
Oh. I don't want it anymore. I want to do this one now. Carry on.
Are you thinking about the tornado one? The
last
that
one.
Yes.
Yeah, for Matt.
Yes, that's on the AvWeb website, and it says that a tornado ripped through the airport at Antalya in Turkey on Saturday, injuring 12 people and causing millions of dollars in damage as it marched down a line of airliners parked on the ramp. None of the injuries are considered life-threatening, but the wind knocked over buses and service vehicles on the ramp and pushed equipment into the airliners. Large pieces of debris also struck the planes and the terminal building. Officials said that 3 buses and several pieces of ground equipment were toppled. The twister was one of as many as 5 that touched down, the airport was just recovering from a tornado and a major storm that hit the region on Thursday. And the same storm brought heavy rain to the coast and snow to the mountains of the Balkan region and Turkey. So there's been exceptional weather going on there. But of course, yes, and the damage associated with it as well. I don't know whether you've been bringing up some pictures there, Matt. But,
we're running the video at the moment.
Yeah.
It's. I must admit, I've never really seen a twister in that sort of. It's quite scary. One of my friends is one of these storm chasers, and he goes out to the States every year, literally to chase storms. It's frightening stuff.
Pretty
isn't
frightening.
it? I mean,
some of the damage that was caused by the storm. There are some pictures on the story. I don't know if they show them on the video or not, but there was some quite bad damage to some of the aircraft that were here. I think there was one of those which is in this story.
Hang on, look! Here comes a column literally working its way across the airfield there. Look, I mean, it's shifting the aeroplanes around like they're Meccano toys, isn't it? It's the power of Mother Nature is not something I think we'll ever truly understand, is it?
Yeah, there's some quite interesting pictures. Actually, if you Google the tornado in Turkey, you'll see the pictures. Some of these aircraft were really quite badly damaged, with pieces of debris and various pieces of airport equipment sort of smashing into them and stuff. But you can probably see, if you're watching the YouTube video, you can see that 737 there
just being whipped around like a.
It's amazing, honestly, the power of wind.
I tell you what, I'm just really glad we don't live in a part of the world where that's a thing. Do you know? It's, I mean, we get the odd one here and there, don't we? But they just lift up a wheelie bin and sort of throw them somewhere.
Throw the rubbish across the street.
We don't get, as Carlos has said frequently on the show, unlike Toronto and large parts of the States, etc., we don't get snow here in the UK. We get snow. Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is one of those weird stories. Anyway, we'll move on to the final story in this week's commercial news. This is on the Express Tribune
This is
website.
good news
It's
for Nev's
tribune.com.
airline.
Yeah, absolutely. Nev's favourite airline, British Airways, to begin operations in Pakistan from June. So is the British Airways has announced commencing flight operations in Pakistan from June, as 3 flights will fly from Islamabad to London each week. A delegation of the British Embassy, along with the officials of the British Airways, met Special Assistant to Prime Minister for Overseas, Pakistanis and Human Resource Development, Zulfikar Bukhari, and exchange views on matters of mutual interest. The airline offers the airline official thanked Bukhari for cooperation and also praised the facilities available at the Islamabad airport. The British delegation said the Islamabad airport is counted as one of the few good airports in the region on account of its design. Meanwhile, Bukhari said commencement of British Airways flights will help boost tourism in Pakistan, and pressed on the need to promote the country's positive image to the world. The British Airways, I like this is obviously a really bad translation as well, because it says the British Airways can play an important role in promoting tourism in the country, said the PM's special assistant. I think, Nev, from now on we should always refer to them not as BA but as the British Airways.
That's a good idea, isn't it?
It is, absolutely. It's very formal. It's a very formal way of talking about a fabulous airline, let's be honest. So it's, yes, there we are. So that's interesting. Yeah, so there's going to be some flights, was it 3 times? Was it 3 times a week, did they say? I've forgotten now already.
Yes.
Indeed, yeah. But it's Pakistan, yeah. It's
a big market. It's a very big market indeed.
It is, yeah.
And I was just looking up to see quite exactly how much the flights are.
Just to, I'm being a bit picky today about pictures and media accuracy. I don't think the aircraft they're showing there is going to get to Islamabad very easily.
No, it might have fuel issues.
Right. Okay.
Unless it's an LR.
Stop halfway.
Right.
I don't think they'll.
Is this the aircraft we're talking about? Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. Is it not big enough then?
Not really.
No. Might as well have been a short 360, frankly, but yes.
Okay.
No, but Nev, if you want to take yourselves over there, Nev, on this flight, will cost you around about £896.
Ooh, blimey.
Return.
Oh, what in business? Excellent.
Oh no, sorry. Trust me to look at economy. Oh dear, I am sorry, Nev. Yeah, I'll have to obviously add another 3 or 4 zeros.
Zeros, absolutely.
Actually, yeah, it's just over £3,000, Nev. In business. They're not doing a first, apparently, according to the website.
Right.
That flight.
Maybe they are using that small plane then.
Yes, that's right.
Oh dear. Anyway, so that brings the commercial news segment to a close. Yeah. But coming up next on the show, we have got a very special segment which has been sent in to us by one of our listeners, Ray Davis, and it's regarding a certain L-39 Albatros jet. So if you're ready, Matt, you can run
here we go.
VT.
So because this is mainly a visual video, what Carlos is just going to do is tell us a little bit more about the aircraft that we're talking about. So what is it we're looking at in the video here, Carlos?
So we're looking at the Aero L-39 Albatros.
Hang on, bit of silence there.
Bit of silence.
Pray silence for the noise. Quick wave to the husband as they take the photo, it says in the video. Okay.
So this,
agile, isn't it? Shifting
I know.
around on the tarmac.
It's a good bit of
like
kit. This is a high-performance jet trainer. This was developed in Czechoslovakia by Aero. It was designed during the 1960s as a replacement for the Aero L-29 Delphin. The L-39 Albatros has the distinction of being the first of the second-generation jet trainers to be produced, as well as being the trainer aircraft to be equipped with a turbofan power plant.
Wow, I tell you what, it's really agile. As I say, the video that we're watching here, it's literally throwing itself around. I know fighter planes in general are pretty good at this, aren't they?
So first flew 4th of November 1968. Obviously that's a propeller-driven aircraft you can hear there. That's not the L-39.
Okay, carry on.
Primary users of the L-39 Albatros are the Soviet Air Force, the Czechoslovak Air Force, Libyan Air Force, and the Syrian Air Force. There was just under 3,000 of these jets produced between 1971 and 1996.
I love that sound. It's a proper beast, isn't it?
Sounds a bit like the old Rolls-Royce Spey engines, Nev.
Yeah,
remember
on
those
the,
from years ago?
BAC 111,
Yeah.
yes, exactly. Yes.
Oh.
So the Albatros is the world's most widely used jet trainer. In addition to performing basic and advanced pilot training, it's also flown combat missions in a light attack role. But the design never received a NATO reporting name.
Okay. What's the reporting name?
It's like they call the Russian Bears, the bombers. They call the Bears,
I see.
and
Right,
they call There's various.
It's like a sort of like a code name.
Like a code name.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But a great bit of video there. So thanks to Ray Davis for sending that.
Yeah, he
in.
edited that all himself. You know.
He done well.
I know. Indeed, it says the Aero L-39. Indeed.
Nice colour as well. I do like that colour, that paint job.
Yeah. He's even got his copyright notice on the video. Look, just so that he don't.
He's good, isn't he?
Absolutely. Nev, that sounds like something you do. Yes. Yeah, it's very nice.
He's done a nice job there. Thanks. Thanks,
Yeah.
Ray, for doing that.
Yeah,
It's,
definitely. Thank you.
Very nice indeed. And yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
So we love stuff like that here at P2K. So if you are listening to the show and you've got your handy smartphone with you, you can do some video and send it in to us, and Matt can put it together and put it on the show. We'd love to see that, of some aviation greatness.
Anyway, we've got the military coming up very shortly, but we will be back in about 3.5 minutes after these short messages.
Find this and other great shows at the Aviation Media Network.
thevoicesinyourhead.com.
The Plain Talking UK podcast is a voluntary project that aims to keep you informed with the latest aviation-related stories from newswires across the globe.
Producing our content does cost money though. If you enjoy our show, why not help us keep on the air by making a donation towards the server and website hosting fees through PayPal. Any contributions would be greatly appreciated.
Are you an Amazon user? If so, why not do your shopping through the link on our website? There's no cost to yourself, and Amazon pay us a small referral fee on qualifying purchases.
To find out more about the show and to meet the team, take yourself to our website www.plaintalkinguk.com,
or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/plaintalkinguk, on Twitter via @plaintalkinguk, or get in touch via email on podcast@plaintalkinguk.com. Thanks for listening.
Flybe 5823, Trent Dane for 23-hour Manchester, Wizz Air 6X, climb flight level 210, direct to Bretlands Park. United 123, maintain 280 knots. London 2 TME, turn right onto Bravo, link, 21 join Alpha, hold at Mora, Speedbird 472, LOC/DME. in stand 544.
That's enough air traffic control for today, Nat. Bedtime.
So we came up with the idea of having a video course.
Obviously ours are better because we've got the experience on the aircraft and we know what we need to be looking at.
Something that myself and Andy started initially really to improve our own technical knowledge and put something out there. We saw that there was a gap and this wasn't a media that was being used for this purpose, and our hunch was right because there's obviously a market for it.
Have you ever wondered what it would be like to fly a commercial passenger jet? Looked up at the sky and thought, I wish that was me? Well, now anyone has the chance to have a go at flying in a real aircraft simulator. NP Simulations and Flight Experience London, the only official Boeing licensed product of its kind in the UK, offer you the chance to fly anywhere in the world in their fixed base Boeing 737-800 flight simulator. And that's not all. Ground School London offers many different courses for the up-and-coming pilot looking for a start in aviation. With prices starting at just £109, the sky's the limit. So for the ultimate flight simulator experience, or engaging preparatory courses, including those for schools and colleges, check out the websites at www.london.flightexperience.co.uk and www.groundsschoollondon.com, or call on 020 300 40 616. NP Simulations. Fly your dreams.
I love that bit. But we did fly our dreams.
I can't believe that was over a year ago now. That was a bit weird. Actually, we were down with you, weren't we, Nev? I think when we saw and that was actually coming up on the...
Yes, that's right. It was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, just over a year ago, because it was the
200th, wasn't it?
The 200th show, wasn't it? My goodness me, how time flies.
How time flies when you're having fun.
So moving on to the next part of the show for all the military fans, it's the military segment, which again this week, even though he's not here with us this week, he has handpicked all the stories, so thanks to Armando for that. So everyone is ready.
Yes, I certainly am.
Yes, let's go. I'd just like to point out that during the break, Matt asked me to go downstairs and get some ginger beer. And this must have about 6 tons of root ginger in, because
it keeps making us cough.
It's stripped my throat of...
I played the ads because I thought it would give us a perfect opportunity to go and get drinks, and it's made things 10 times worse. But never mind.
Not long.
We'll soldier it still. First world problems, hey children.
I'm glad I haven't got a sore throat. This would be terrible. So this is on the first story this week is on the Royal Air Force's website, and this one was contributed by Mr. Jonathan Warner, actually, over to Armando, sent to Armando's personal P2K email address. So well done for that. So the headline is Royal Air Force commemorates iconic tornado fast jet. Oh, I used to love seeing these come over. So the Royal Air Force has released stunning images of a unique aircraft formation to celebrate 40 years of service by the Tornado GR4 fast jet. The Tornado is immensely proud, they said here, to have led the Tail Art formation, our first event which celebrates the imminent retirement of the Tornado after almost 40 years service. That's said by Group Captain Ian Townsend. The Tornado first entered RAF service back in 1979, principally in the Cold War nuclear strike and interdiction role. Its combat debut in the 1991 Gulf War heralded a period of near continuous operations which continue to this date. Some 28 years after those first missions to help liberate Kuwait, the Royal Air Force's 2 remaining Tornado squadrons remain in operations in the Middle East, fully committed to the fight against Daesh, a part of the global coalition effort. Blimey, this ginger beer, Matt, is terrible stuff.
How is this my fault?
So Flight Lieutenant Nathan Schuer, 27, he was the last pilot to qualify on the Tornado, said that I wasn't born, he said, when the Tornado first entered service with the Royal Air Force. It was a privilege to fly on today's training sortie, which he said also captured fantastic imagery of this iconic aircraft. It'll be a sad day for us all when the Tornado shuts down its engines for the last time. I can't believe it's been that long, but I can still remember the family days back when I was a lot younger, going to the air bases and seeing these aircraft lined up and looking fantastic. But
yes.
No, a very iconic piece of Royal Air Force history there. So
indeed, and I think it's safe to say that if one is after a strong ginger beer for their a light refreshment, that the Morrison's own brand is excellent. It's very
so the next story, Matt,
yes.
and
that's not. I don't think. Is this one for me or is this one for Nev?
This one is for you, actually, Matt. But there's a little footnote while you bring up the story. Armando says about this story that this story could be directly applicable to general aviation in the future. Flying unpressurized aircraft at altitudes above 10,000 feet have been deadly in the past due to hypoxia. This could be a solution that filters down to us minions in a few years' time. So the story, Matt, is...
okay, yes, this is... not coming up. Great. Oh, this military.com is the website, as Carlos said. Yes, so the new hypoxia sensor aims to make military trainer aircraft safer. So a helmet-based sensor that can read human biometrics alongside an aircraft's cockpit pressure levels just hit the market with the Air Force pilots in mind. Spotlight Labs, a veteran-owned small business founded by fighter pilots, on Wednesday announced that its SPY-DR hypoxia sensor, or SPIDER, I suppose, hypoxia sensor, is ready to be used in aircraft that have a history of pilots reporting hypoxia-like symptoms, such as the T-6 Texan II trainer. In April, the Air Force Life Cycle Management Center's Agile Combat Support Directorate awarded a $195,000 contract to the company to test the SPIDER device, which was designed to immediately alert T-6 aircrew of low oxygen in the bloodstream, and as a result allow them to take action to prevent physiological symptoms in flight, the Air Force said at the time. The SPIDER can detect and warn pilots of impending hypoxia symptoms from both the human and aircraft perspective. The device also records the flight data for pilots and officials to analyse and improve in-flight methods. After the grounding of the T-6 training fleet by the United States Air Force, Spotlight Labs executed destructive testing, electromagnetic interference testing and acoustic testing on the SPIDER, the company said in a release. Spotlight Labs executed physical demonstrations in an altitude chamber, a centrifuge and ground-based restricted oxygen breathing device. The release said Spotlight of Sterling Heights, Michigan, used SPIDER on more than 100 training flights in T-6 aircraft at various airport training bases to prove its effectiveness. How it works? Well, the gadget replaces existing ear cups in a flight helmet. It does not require any manipulation within the cockpit for the device to work, Spotlight Labs said. It also includes 3 sensors and a bone-conducting transducer that collects data and relevant physiological points on the neck and head, according to the description. The sensor can then read breath, heart rate and other biometrics, and it records data multiple times per second in real time, alerting pilots to any abnormalities with different sound alarms. Everything in tactical aviation is instrumented except the pilot. Brian Bracht said that he is the leading biomedical engineer at Spotlight Labs, as well as an experienced F-16 Fighting Falcon instructor pilot, said the release. He served in the New Jersey Air National Guard's 177th Fighter Wing, according to the service. The SPIDER instruments, the operator giving individual pilots tools for safety and performance in flight, while collecting valuable data that will fuel improved performance and increased risk mitigation for the pilot community as a whole, he said. I'll probably leave it there because it's going into quite a lot of detail now.
It's a good idea.
It's a clever system, isn't it, where it's recording biometrics and things.
But it's also a good early warning system for the pilot. Yeah,
and it's interesting that you're saying it's like, all trainer aircraft and the aircraft in general, they're, everything else about the aircraft is heavily monitored by the ground, with the exception of the pilot, which kind of makes sense, really. So this little device helps them do that.
No, there's been a lot of incidents in the last few years where there's been hypoxia and stuff with incidents with these particular aircraft. Obviously, where the oxygen is not been, the supply's not been very good. So it's good.
Well, presuming that a lot of that's height related as well.
It will hopefully save lives.
Good idea, though. Definitely good idea.
So, Nev, the next story.
Yeah, it's on the aviationtribune.com. And it says that the Republic of Korea Air Force has taken delivery of its first Airbus A330 multi-role tanker transport aircraft, which is the MRTT. The new generation A330 MRTT extends the endurance and range of the Air Force's fighter aircraft and provides the service with strategic transport capability for passengers and freight. In South Korean service, the A330 MRTT will be powered by Rolls-Royce Trent 700 engines, be equipped with the Airbus refueling boom system, and can be configured in a variety of layouts to carry passengers and freight for medevac purposes. South Korea becomes the 7th member of the worldwide family of A330 MRTT operators and is one of 12 nations to have ordered the aircraft. This latest delivery brings the total in-service fleet to 35. I do like this guy's name. Fernando Alonso, Executive Vice President of Airbus, says that the A330 MRTT has clearly established itself as the world's premier tanker and strategic transport aircraft and has been widely praised by the current operators. It'll be a critical asset for the Air Force and leading air forces worldwide for many decades. And yes, of course, this is a very capable aircraft, very versatile aircraft as well, by the looks of things, from what they're talking about, and can be deployed into multiple different roles.
It's safe to say Airbus have done really well with this. It's been a great platform, the 330, for the kind of tanker transport and stuff, and it's worked well. It's been embraced by by quite a few air forces globally now. So I think Airbus are kind of rubbing their hands together, thinking we've done good here. Yeah, they've certainly done better than the Boeing tanker equivalent.
Oh yes.
Anyway,
well, it's in the air at least. That's something.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Absolutely.
So the last story, and which Armando has said that we must give to Matt, is
has he?
It's a very nice story, and it goes along with some of the stuff that we've talked about in previous episodes.
Oh, okay.
And Matt, it's quite an important story, especially because of its kind of what it goes on about.
Okay, all right. Well, let's give it a read and see what he means by that. So, The Aviationist is the website, and the headline is: New F-16 Viper demo team commander is also the Air Force's first female single ship tactical demonstration pilot. Oh, very cool. So Captain Zoe, in quote marks, Sis Kotnik, is the new F-16 Viper demonstration team pilot. Captain Zoe Sis Kotnik is the new commander of the F-16 of the Viper demo team, the VDT. On January the 29th, 2019, General Mike Holmes, commander of Air Combat Command, certified the new F-16 Viper demonstration team pilot and commander ahead of the 2019 season at Joint Base Langley Eustis. The final certification by the ACC commander follows extensive training, including 4 certifications off-station training flights and more than 30 practice missions. With over 1,000 flying hours in her 8 years of military service, Sis, originally assigned to the 55th Fighter Squadron at Shaw Air Force Base, South Carolina, is the Air Force's first female single-ship aerial demonstration pilot. She will lead the team in around 20 locations across the world during the upcoming air show season. What I'm looking forward to most is the potential to have an influence on younger generations, said Kotnick in a public release. I know firsthand and how impactful air shows can be and what a difference it makes to young people to see just one example of what they too can do and who they can become. I hope to be a source of inspiration and motivation they can draw on to apply for in their own lives. The F-16 VDT performs an aerobatic display whose aim is to demonstrate the unique capabilities of the F-16 Fighting Falcon, better known as the Viper in the Piper community. These shows allow us to demonstrate the capabilities of the F-16 to a worldwide audience while highlighting the work of the airmen who keep the Viper flying, said Master Sergeant Chris Schneider, who the F-16 VDT superintendent. It's not every day people get the chance to hear the sound of freedom roaring over their heads or watch a team of maintainers working together to make it happen. If you're interested in learning a bit more about her, there's an interview of Sis given to the Live Air Show TV in the fall of 2018. So you'll actually find the notes to this story will be in the show notes. You can click on the link. It'll be the last story in the military section, and you can watch the interview. But no, it's great actually, and all jokes aside, this is quite exciting actually, because it will mean, it is that thing when you find out that it'd be very inspirational to other girls perhaps who are watching the air show to sort of think, oh, I could do that, and that's quite exciting.
It's worth pointing out as well, for those of you who are off to Oshkosh this year, as we know, Armando is going to be our contact at Oshkosh this year. He's taking the PTUK banner with him to Oshkosh this year.
What, the one that's downstairs?
Yeah,
he might got to take that with him.
But he will be for us on the doing some recordings and stuff for the show. But it's worth noting that the Viper demo display teams will be at Oshkosh this year as well, putting on displays. So for those of you going to Oshkosh who are lucky enough to be going to Oshkosh, that'll be great for you to enjoy that. So looking forward to it.
It will be good.
Yeah,
it will be good.
I'm sure Armando will get us some great stuff from there,
I dare
some
say.
content. And I think as well, Captain Al, I think, is off to Oshkosh.
Yeah, I think there was certainly discussions about that, wasn't there? Yeah. So they'll make a great pairing, I think.
That'll be entertaining for the for our US
or frightening. We're not sure which.
Frightening.
Yeah. It could be a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
So that is where we bring the military news to a close. Thanks for that again, Armando. He will be back next week in the military driving seat with the stories. So we look forward to that. And we hope you're having fun, whatever you're doing, Armando, with the skiing.
We have some hopefully exciting ideas in regard to the military segment that will hopefully be coming to fruition very soon.
Yeah. So we're going to start to wrap up this week's show then on this Saturday night to let you all get back to what the busy beer drinking I'm sure many of you are doing tonight.
Off down the pub.
Down the pub. But first, before we go, we obviously have to do all our thanks to everyone who's watched the show this evening, and also a big thanks to everyone who downloads the show via iTunes and all the other podcasty download places across the internet. Social media links, Matt.
Indeed. Come back to me in a minute, will you?
Okay, so we'll come back to you in a minute. Matt has been working tirelessly on putting the new website together. For those of you who haven't had a look yet, take yourselves over to www.planetalkinguk.com. Matt's just put up on the screen there. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see that now. Matt's been having a bit of a change and a spruce up of the website. As you can see, we've got pictures of us there, the team on the page there, with all our little bios there you can read. And Matt's also got another few little bits to add to that, haven't you, Matt? With
I have, yes. So we've got a few bits and pieces. But what a new addition to the website, look, is you can actually, this will probably get itself in a loop now. I'll probably break it. So you can actually watch the show on the website page. You can also listen to the latest audio version of the show just by clicking on the link there. You can see all of the various icons to go with that. So we're definitely getting there.
Well done, Matt, for that.
Absolutely.
Big round of applause. Well done, Matt. Thank you for that.
Don't.
Top man. And don't
part
forget,
of
you
the
can
fun.
catch up with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram as well. We are on there. And we also, as we announced last week, we all have our very own personal email addresses for the show.
Absolutely.
So what's yours, Matt?
Really imaginatively, mine is, funnily enough, Matt, M-A-T-T, two T's, see, Matt at plaintalkinguk.com. Nev, I think you've got one as well. Yours is also equally as imaginative.
Yeah, we couldn't think what to call it, so we went for Nev at plaintalkinguk.com. Extraordinary.
Indeed.
And Matt really pushed the boat out with mine and came up with
Carl
at.
Yeah. That's it, yeah. We dropped the os.
Carlos at plaintalkinguk.com. And not forgetting Armando. Armando is Armando at plaintalkinguk.com. So if you've got some interesting military news stories and stuff that you want to add, if you buzz them over to Armando, he can put them all together for us.
Yeah, just spell Armando for them.
ARMANDO. To think then, it's this ginger beer stuff. I've drunk the whole glass.
Right. Okay.
Honestly, it's violent, Matt. That
it's
ginger
good.
beer.
No, it's good. As I say, the Morrison's own brand ginger beer is highly recommended.
Honestly, it's crazy stuff. It's crazy stuff.
Indeed.
So we're going to say a big.
But if you want to get a hold of all of us, because we can all still do it, don't forget. Obviously, you can send us an email to the usual place, which is podcast@plaintalkinguk.com. That is podcast@plaintalkinguk.com.
Yes, send in your audio feedback.
Yeah,
because we'd love to hear from you.
We would very much so.
So, Nev, what's the plan for this week? Any big?
He's off to Amsterdam.
Big plans,
we know that much.
apart from Amsterdam.
The plan tomorrow is to turn up at Heathrow Terminal 5 and jump on an Airbus 319 to go to Amsterdam, where I should be until Friday of next week at a usual exhibition that we do there.
And what seat are you in, Nev? What seat are you in?
Well, actually, a little bit poor this week. It's 4F. So, you know, that I might as well be in the hold, frankly. You know,
I'm sure that's not true.
Obviously, there's some gold card holders snuck in front of me there.
Okay, how rude.
I suggest you've got to chat the flight crew.
Yeah, right.
Yes, I'm picking my colleague up from just on the way there, and then we're going to Amsterdam. Say there till Friday, but I'm taking all my video gear with me as well, doing some filming and editing whilst out there. And yes, it's going to be a very full-on week. So I shall be suitably worn out by the time I get back, but hopefully back in time to do the show on Friday of next week.
Indeed, yes. Indeed, that's going to be great. Nothing very exciting in my world other than our visitor, which I'm very excited. That is the highlight for me, actually, is our visitor coming to join us. So yes, Stephen Ivey, looking forward to seeing you next week.
He'll be here, right here.
Yeah, he will. Yes, doing circles apparently.
Next to this B-17.
Right. Okay.
We'll have a different one next week. Won't we?
Actually, no. I want a picture of the Mooney for next week. Because that's what he flies, isn't it?
The aircraft. Yeah. Oh, what are you on about then?
Oh, no. Oh, Nev, that's unexpected, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. And on that bombshell, I think it is time to end. So thank you very much to everyone who has joined us this week. We will see you all next week.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
Of the same. So say goodbye, Nev.
Yeah, take care. Have a good week. See you next week.
Carlos.
Take care, everyone. Good night.
Goodbye. Bye.